At the heart of my teaching is a simple belief that learning is most powerful when students feel seen, supported, and inspired. My teaching philosophy blends engaged and contemplative pedagogy, which emphasizes motivation as a method. Whether it is in an in-person or an online class, I design spaces where students write, reflect, and connect to the material, to each other, and to themselves. In my first year of teaching, I learned the power of story and object-based inquiry. This is my Gele lesson. I introduce students to the idea that writing can begin with something deeply personal. As students examine a Nigerian airdrop, the Gele, we explore how objects carry identity, method, and culture, and they also freewrite to music, share reflections, begin seeing writing as inquiry into the world. Students share memories of their own meaningful objects from necklaces to family recipes, and there's just a spark of laughter, curiosity, empathy across the room, and there is just a multiculturalness happening in class, quote unquote. Because I participate in their first writing project also, by bringing my own cultural object to class, it motivates them to engage even more. And this is actually a core pillar in my fast M score framework, and I call it modeling. The most eye-opening moment of my career came when I began teaching asynchronously. I remember staring at my course shell, realizing there would be no classroom laughter, no quick questions, no spontaneous teachable moments. It hit me that in an online space, motivation isn't an add-on, it is actually the pedagogy, especially with the many statistics that shows that students' completion rates are higher in-person classes more than in online classes. I consider this to be an opportunity to bridge some kind of gap, and that insight changed everything. I began looking for ways to upscale my course content to drive engagement and deepen connection. How can we connect even in a digital space? So I make every announcement become some kind of heartbeat, every feedback, every comment, a conversation. And that is how Motivate to Educate was born. This human-centered framework is built on my fast M square pillars. Feedback, I call it feedback as love letters, announcements with heart, structure with flexibility, touch points that matter, and motivation as a method. And also modeling through authentic example. I found that each element converts digital distance into connection and care. So I send announcements 3 times a week that serve as both instruction and inspiration, a reminder, a prompter, and clarification. I call them announcements with art. They remind students that progress is personal and every effort counts. As one student puts it, she said, our mails always made me feel seen. Another one wrote, our announcements were so motivating, they helped me stay on track, and I believe I could finish strong, and that was it. My courses are structured in an organized and predictable way that builds trust through clarity and through grace. I let students know exactly what to do each day in a clear, calm manner that keeps them focused and confident and not overwhelmed. One student noted about it, saying everything was so organized. I always knew what to expect each time. Each email, each comment, each message, an intentional spark of encouragement and engagement. Quick responses and check-ins make students feel supported and accountable. Another of my students said, she's patient and understanding when life happens. I build structure and flexibility into every module, helping my students to balance rigor with grace. Through discussion boards, peer reviews, and multimodal projects, my students practice writing as citizenship and learn to use their voices on real-world issues from AI ethics to mental health. I meet with each student one-on-one at key project stages too, and that is intentional touch point. These conferences give them a personal space to communicate their struggles, celebrate their wins, and discover how to progress from where they are individually. Because it is confidential, a space where they can open up about how I can support them. As one student shared, the one-on-one Zoom meetings helped me understand what to do and made me feel more confident about my papers. Another one wrote, a feedback during conferences really helped me improve my drafts and writing style. I provide opportunities for both digital and in-person peer review. I teach students how to give constructive feedback and how to receive it gracefully, thereby turning revision into collaboration rather than criticism. So, a student once reflected, the peer review sessions and instructor feedback were most helpful to my learning. They improved my writing, critical thinking, and ability to revise effectively. I also use gentle assertive accountability to keep students on track. I nudge them with kindness, never shame, and celebrate progress at every step. One semester, a student stopped submitting work. Instead of marking zeros, I sent a note that began this way. Hello, bestie. I hope you are doing well. I haven't received the submission yet. How might I support you at this moment? Let's get you back on track. 2 weeks later, she submitted every assignment and finished strong. And that is not the only student in my class that got these kinds of reminders and kind prompters. For me, teaching extends beyond the four walls of classroom. I help potential grad students learn how to write compelling personal statements and fellowship essays for grad school, and I show them that writing is actually a bridge between their academic work and their future opportunities. And I also share Motivate to Educate with colleagues, training new GTs, and co-designing inclusive templates for online teaching. The same heart that guides my students guides my peers to teach with empathy, to lead with presence, and to remember that learning gets better when people feel supported. So every semester, as I watch my students transform from hesitant writers to confident thinkers and writers, that is my proof that when teaching is grounded in feedback, announcement, structure, touch points, motivation, and modeling, learning becomes very transformative. Thank you for listening. My name is Abisola Akinsiku, and I am a PhD candidate at the University of Kansas. Thank you for listening.